amazing song, I'm Choosing Heaven Today. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing joy today. Peace. I'm choosing peace today. I'm choosing peace today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing peace today. Love. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing love today. Beauty. I'm choosing beauty today. I'm choosing beauty today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing beauty today. Heaven. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing, I'm choosing heaven today.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living, where we teach the science of mind so that we can live better lives and contribute to a world that works for everyone. As you know, this morning we are on a skeleton crew here at the center. So we have the lovely and talented Yvette singing. I'm helping out with music. I get to be your platform assistant today. And we've got Carol holding the high watch and various and sundry practitioners at home holding the high watch. Annette is on tech and Greg Gardner is on invocation and benediction. And I know a lot of y'all are tuning in because you're excited about the main event, our speaker, Reverend Tammy Lambert. And this month we are talking about delight and wonder and reconnecting with a sense of awe, which is really important right now. So we're super grateful that you are here this morning. You're absolutely here by divine appointment. Welcome home. So we're going to turn now to look to our mission and our vision. So let's say those out loud together wherever you are. Say it out loud, not just in your head. Like, say it with fervor. Here we go. Vision, transforming our world with the power of love in action. And our mission, loving all creation through spiritual growth and service, always staying true to our highest self. Oh, that was beautiful. I hope you felt it. So now we're going to shift to invocation from our wonderful practitioner, Greg Gardner.
Take this moment, if you wish, to close your eyes as we begin our Sunday service. How sweet it is to come together once again, across the miles that separate us. Sweet to come together once again in consciousness across Albuquerque, across New Mexico, and indeed across the nation. Together again on this magnificent, crisp New Mexico winter morning. This morning, I feel the presence of that creative force of spirit that some call God. I feel the joy of spirit here this morning. I know it is in each of us within hearing of my voice. It is here through us and indeed as us. I feel the joy, the peace, the compassion here this morning. Joy and peace are here right now. It is from this place of divine right order that I bless our gathering this morning, each of us in our homes. I bless our divine tech angels creating their magic. Most especially, I bless Reverend Tammy and her inspiring message for us this morning. And now I invite you to join me in beginning our service this morning with the words, "And so it is. Amen."
And so it is. Go ahead and type it in the chat. And so it is. All the little hearts and thumbs up on Facebook. Thank you for that beautiful prayer, Greg. We really appreciate that. So now it's time to read our sacred covenant. And again, I'm going to invite you to read it out loud. Make your cats and dogs wonder what you're saying and say it with fervor like you really mean it, because we know that when we say it con una alma fuerte, like with all our soul down to our toenails, we're invoking what we want to create. So I know you've said this a whole bunch of times, but there's power in saying it with spirit. So let's say our sacred covenant together, nice and loud like you mean it. There is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to glorify God, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of God as unity. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which has been promised by God. For it is written, so powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth. And that's Baha'u'llah from the Baha'i faith. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me, unifying and growing our community. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself, for I am inspired to live in unity as an expression of wholeness and love. I am encouraging and supporting spiritual growth, awakening the wisdom within me. I am serving as a healer to all, applying the power of love, wisdom, and unity. I am generating engagement of the community in mystical studies and spiritual teachings. I am collaborating with community organizations working in service of a world that works for everyone. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they will be revealed in a way that will glorify God and serve the greatest and highest good of all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful. God is gracious. So be it now. Amen. For our sacred reading this morning, this book just fell off the shelf, almost literally. It's Ernest Holmes' A New Design for Living, and he wrote this a year before he passed. So it's really powerful, and there's all these neat little vignettes in here, somewhat akin to Living the Science of Mind. So I really like this book. And this is in a little section called Your Wonderful Experience. Since our lives are primarily mental, in activity of consciousness, it would naturally follow that we should come to believe that something wonderful, new, and original, something continuously expansive, is happening to us at all times. On the other hand, How much of our time is spent in denying ourselves the privilege of entering into a greater degree of livingness? We are possibly bound by more negative ideas than we will ever realize. We keep saying, I cannot, I don't know how, I lack the opportunity, everything is against me. All of these statements are flat denials of life itself and the creative flow of it, capital I, it, through us. And what should be a constructive and expanding faith in accord with the creative nature of our thought becomes a limiting and contracting one. The result? We use the very power that should set us free to bind ourselves. Thought is a two-edged sword. It can be used to cut a pathway into a glorious future, or it can be used to cut down and sap every bit of life out of us. Perhaps nothing is good or bad in our experience, except as thinking makes it so. In this connection, it is a very simple matter to reverse the entire process. The creative action is continuous. We but change our thought. Wonders can result if we do this. If we can come to believe we are living in God and God is expressing himself through us, and if we can apply this thought consciously to everything that we do, until at last it becomes an automatic action, then we shall find ourselves on the road to greater freedom, happiness, and find the joy in living all over again. So I'm going to ask Yvette to come back up, and we have a very precious song for you that just touches my heart.
I love with the heart of God within me. I sing with the voice of God within me. I rest in the peace of God within me. Everything praises God within me. I know with the mind of God within me. I pray with the faith of God within me. I trust in the peace of God within me. Everything praises God within me. I am a safe and loving place, short of beauty and amazing grace. I laugh with the joy of God within me. I shine with the light of God within me. I am who I am 'cause of God within me. Everything praises God. Everything praises God. Everything praises God within me.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you, Yvette. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Reverend Tammy Lambert. So, Reverend Tammy recently graduated and received her master's degree in consciousness studies from the Holmes Institute with a certificate in ministry. Her commitment to create a world that is powerfully conscious and transforming itself in every area of life, which includes governments, courts, the private sector, and any area where there's the potential for making a positive difference. I know that we all have been touched by her powerful message and her powerful presence. So let's all, in our homes, give a warm welcome to Reverend Tammy Lambert.
Good morning, Kamatara, and good morning, everyone at the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living and all that are in this moment, in this presence. It's an honor and joy to be with you today. And so I want to introduce our talk title, which is Wonder, Wonder Everywhere. And the blurb of that is, do you walk around daily with your mind, with your mouth wide open in absolute awe in the infinite space of wonders around you? And if not, it's not too late. Beauty is everywhere and wonders will never cease. Now, this is a talk title that's commensurate and in alignment with the Centers for Spiritual Living global themes. So there will be talks about this all over the world today. And I'm honored to give a talk about this. The thing that came up for me as I was preparing for this is, we're in the middle of a global pandemic with COVID, and I've had to attend or am familiar with or officiating so many funerals lately. And, we see what's going on in the world. And I look at this talk title and I'm thinking, what in the world? Wonders, wonders everywhere. Yes, I'm in awe. Like, oh no, I'm in awe kind of in another space sometime at, some of the disappointing and unfortunate news that we hear. There are things that I have not wanted to happen that have happened. And so the invitation to be in wonder and joy is not a quick fix. It's not an invitation to happy thought everything away. And sometimes when we think about new thought, when we know that we can create with our thoughts, we want to sometimes suppress any thought that or any emotion that doesn't seem commensurate with our idea that we should be living on a higher vibration of life and love. And so sometimes it's a tendency, rather than to be with what's happening, a tendency to go into a space where we are suppressing. You remember a few months ago, I had given a talk here at the Rio Grande Center where I was pointing out that when we breathe into what's possible, when we breathe into our experiences, we have ability to shift the way that our brain is incorporating or dealing with the information. But when we suppress things, when we suppress our emotions or we suppress what's going on, that we may not feel it then, but it doesn't actually go away. It just comes back later. So what is a spiritual bypass? So one of the things I'm saying is that this is not a call to joy, is not a call to a spiritual bypass. Now, we know that I have, looking at preparing for today, I was reading this book, Joyful Wisdom, by Yonggi Rinpoche. And it's a very good book. And so if you want to check that out, I thought it was really, it had a lot of useful, a lot of useful guidance. One of the things that he's reminding us of is that the cause of suffering is not in our circumstances or our events, but in the way we perceive and interpret our experiences as they unfold. But sometimes we think about, well, what is my perception? And if we are perceiving something in a way that has us feel sad or discomfort or irritation, sometimes we immediately want to start to substitute a new perspective. And why is that why is it a bypass? It's a bypass because we are not fully being with our discomfort, right? We have it that we're not supposed to be in discomfort. Sometimes people feel like that's not spiritual. If somebody is saying, "Oh, I'm feeling ill," someone says, "Well, don't claim that," right? And it's like, no, you get to express your experience. And sometimes it's important to really be with the discomfort. And Rinpoche here says that it's just a sneaky attempt to get rid of an uncomfortable situation. So when we immediately start to say, hey, I'm having a negative perception, and we want to immediately shift it, he says it's a sneaky attempt to get rid of an uncomfortable situation, which ends up reinforcing the idea of seeing challenges as enemies to be conquered or bosses to be pacified. So it lurks unsuppressed and unreleased. So we imagine we have a physical body, we also have an emotional body. And in that emotional body, sometimes we may have a pain body or an energy thought form. And it could be a thought that we have energized with our emotions. So suppressing it doesn't release it, it just puts it into our emotional body and it just packs it in. And the impact of that unexperienced or unexpressed energy body is that it can actually have an impact on the physical body and cause physical ills. So when we talk about not suppressing, when we talk about a spiritual bypass, it can actually be harmful to your physical health. The thing is that we are, though, always able to look at our perceptions. And sometimes our perceptions are disappointments because we realize that we're not happy with the way that life changes sometimes. But we have to remember that life does not stay in one place, even for a moment. Life is always changing. Life is always moving. There's always an energy of life force that is causing everything, even down to the atomic level, to the subatomic level, where everything is in motion and everything is moving. And when we get fixed on things as they should be, sometimes we actually cause our perception to be one of disappointment. An example of that, of how things are always changing, is we look at like what's going on right now. We're virtual for our service because the COVID numbers have gone up. And while it's disappointing to not be in person together, we have to look at our perception of this. What is our perception of how we're dealing with this change? One of the things that came up in the book that I was reading was this idea of people who put butterflies in a glass case, right? So sometimes you'll see displays of butterflies, and someone will take a beautiful butterfly, and after they'll either kill it or put it in a jar with mothballs or something, and it'll die. And then they put a pin through it, and then they display the butterflies, like in a glass case or something. Sometimes that comes to me as a reminder of how we are sometimes with the past and are wanting to recreate the past in the present. Because the beauty of the butterfly is that it flies around, that it represents all of the change and the transformation. But what we want to do, so what we're doing is we're taking a pin in that butterfly and wanting to put it in a glass case because we want to save that experience. We want to keep that experience, and we want to be reminded of that experience. So what we do is we trap it inside of what we think something should be, and we nail it to our wall with the expectation that that somehow preserves it. And so what we're doing is that we are expecting and wanting to be things as they were, which traps it in the past, which kills the possibility. So when we do that, what we are doing is we are limiting our ability to fly by placing our hopes and expectations based on something that we want it to be a different way. We want it to be like it's in the past. So sometimes our suffering is caused by a strong attachment to a set of beliefs or perceptions. Things should be different. This shouldn't be happening. I didn't want that to happen. Things should be differently. People should be different. That person should have said something different. I should look different. I should feel different. And so maybe sometimes we have had a wonderful experience and we're trying to recreate those same circumstances, and trying to create those same circumstances or that created the forum for that good experience. So for example, a few years ago, I shared with you a trip that my family had, and we had gone to Disneyland, and a certain set of circumstances happened, and we ended up getting free passes to all the rides without having to stand in line, right? And so it was a wonderful experience. But if we were to go to Disneyland again, would we always measure our experience by Disneyland based on how well it happened in the past, right? For example, this Christmas Eve, I wanted to be able to connect with my daughters and their spouses and boyfriends, and have my family sit around in our pajamas and play games. And that was my whole plan, right? Or to have a wonderful brunch or a dinner or something like that. But there was a COVID situation and we weren't able to do that. And I had to look at, wow, my disappointment was because this particular Christmas Eve didn't look like the Christmas Eves in the past, right? And of course, things are changing every year. So, what about the Christmas did I want to create? I wanted to create togetherness. I wanted to create a sense of joy. I wanted to create a special time. And I was able to create that, just not at that time. And so I could have been, disappointed. And I was disappointed, but I was still able to look at what was the essence of the thing that I wanted to create. And then I was able to create it. So, but this is a process. It's a process of changing our perceptions of what we are, what we want, and what we need, and what we don't want and what we don't need. And all of this process, it is a part of the human experience that's common to all living creatures. However, when we acknowledge that the conditions are bound to change, we can approach each moment with a bit more clarity and confidence. We can relax into it rather than being bossed around by it. We can relax into it instead of resisting it or being overwhelmed with it. So we don't have to, when we see a perception and we perceive something that's happening, our brains are hardwired to initially perceive, is this a threat or not? Do I need to go into fight, flight, or freeze, or is it okay? So we're constantly assessing things from the point of view of, is this something that I need to react to for my safety? And this is not just things that are happening in our lives. I heard on a report on the news the other day where they were talking about when we see things on social media, when we see things on the news, and we have this constant renewing of things that we're seeing, like this piece of bad news and this other thing and this, and what happens is our brain can constantly renewing and dealing with these things that are showing up, and it can result in anxiety and depression and unhappiness and a lot of stress, which translates into physical illness in the body, right? Because when our amygdala releases those hormones into our body, what happens is it floods the body, and then the body starts to react, right? And so if we're saying, I'm not reacting to this, or I'm going to spiritual bypass this, and we don't allow our emotional body to express itself, then what happens is it kind of becomes suppressed depression or anxiety. But when we look at our experience and recognize this is what's happening right now in this moment, and we realize that the next moment will bring a different experience, we're able to open a bit of space around it. We're able to sit in a larger context of what is so in the universe, what is so in our experience. We can realize that if we are a spiritual being and we're able to disconnect ourselves from the experience and look at it, then what we see is that we are a spiritual being of divine intelligence, wisdom, love, power, and we are not the thing. So that doesn't mean don't express your emotions. We have the emotional body, right? So the other day I was looking through, how pictures show up sometimes on your phone as like a memory or something like that. And I saw a picture of my father and I, when we had gone whale watching and we were, hugging, and I just had this moment of profound sadness. And so I just cried, right? I just sat there and cried, and I was so missing him that I just allowed the emotional body to experience it. But one of the best ways that I've ever heard of to deal with when we are experiencing the pain body or we are experiencing the emotions was in Transformation of a New World. Eckhart Tolle talked about how when you have the emotions, just to experience the emotion without the story playing in your mind about it. So I just had my cry, right? And I thought, wow, this really hurts, but it was really relieving just to cry. And I have a new dog, and the dog came from across the room and it put its little paw in my cheek and it looked at me and it kind of hugged me a little bit. And I thought, wow, that's really sweet. But we are always available and open to being comforted. So even though we may be in a time where we have mourning, it is okay to mourn. If there is a time when the body isn't feeling well, it's okay to rest. If there's a time when we're feeling sad, it is okay to cry. If there is a time when we are afraid, it's okay to be afraid. But feel the emotion and allow it to pass through us, not resisting, not saying, oh, well, I shouldn't feel this way, not saying this is something that I can't allow, but allow it to flow through us. And then when you do that, what you find is that that mourning is part of our experience, that we have tears and that they can be purifying, that we can release the toxins in our bodies when we do cry. But once we have had that cry, we can remember that this is an experience. This is not the whole story. This is the experience that's happening now. This is not always how it's going to be. So then when we look at that, we realize that I have this emotion, I have this body, I have this thought, but I am not the body. I am not the emotion. I am not the thought. I have it. So you may have it like you have a cold. And when we realize that we are not that experience, that that is something that is happening now, we realize that I am that I am. We realize that who we really are is an opening to the joy of the universe. We realize with this new space of clarity that we have the ability to fly, that we have the ability to define what experience do I want? What experience do I want to feel? And once I have done that, I get a glimpse of the mind's grandeur. I get a glimpse of this endless motion, that each moment of my experience is nothing more than a series of waves in the grand ocean of the universe, that it is rising and falling. I've had good times, I've had not so good times, I've had wonderful times. And there are times when I realize that I'm never separated from the limitless expanse of the universe, and that I am part of the ebb and the flow, that we are all part of the ebb and the flow, that as we have each experience, we come and we go, and that we are part of a grand cycle of the universe. So we can realize that as we do that, we realize that I am the highest I am. When Moses asked the divine creator, what shall I call you? And he said, I am that I am. And so the part of me that is all of me is one with the I am. And so I acknowledge that I can never be separate from that. I acknowledge that there is no place where God is not. I acknowledge that even my emotional body is a part of the divine expression. And so I just wrap my emotional body in divine love. I surround it with heart feelings. I just imagine my emotional body surrounded by the pink light, beautiful light of loving kindness. And I give up judging myself if I don't feel so wonderful and at awe. And as I do that, I get the freedom of expression. I get the freedom to create. And it's like the scales drop off from my eyes, and I can look at anything with awe and with wonder. I can look at any situation I can look at a plant and see the beauty of life. I can look at children and listen to their laughter and know that there is something beautiful that is beyond recognition, that I feel and experience with my entire soul, with my entire being. I can look at it all with awe and with wonder, knowing that there is only the love of the divine presence surrounding me in everything and in every area of my life. I know that there are divine beings, divine angels of light that are coming to comfort me. I know that as I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I can fear no evil, for a divine presence is with me. And so, knowing that, knowing all of this, I can look at life in the beauty and the awe and the wonder and living in a space of gratitude. So, right now, let's just take a moment. And if you feel comfortable, just close your eyes. And in this moment, just breathing in divine white light, breathing in the divine white light of the universe, knowing that everything around us is just a form of light. So I breathe in the beautiful white light and I breathe out the beautiful white light. And I live in the knowing that every part of me is cleansed and healed and beautiful. I see my emotional body surrounded with divine white light. I see my physical body surrounded. I am one with this pure divine white light. That it is only good. I surround my mental thoughts, my thought body, with divine white light and just allow all of it to be purified. Just breathing into the beauty of this, breathing out the beauty of this. And saying, only good comes to me, only good comes from me, only good comes to me, only good comes from me. And I release all else. And I open myself up to be the experience of awe and beauty in the world. I open my eyes to the beauty and the awe of the universe. I can smell the beauty in the flowers. I can smell the chill in the air. I can look at the wondrous changing of the seasons. I can accept that life is change. And in the midst of change, I know that I have the ability to release judgments. I can release expectations, and I can see beauty and clarity. And in the beauty and the clarity, I know I can fly. In the beauty and clarity, I can fly with the beauty of a butterfly and cause a transmutation of all energies around me, within myself and everything I touch. Knowing that as I go into this space, into this moment, into my life, that I am causing a transformation of spirit so powerful, so beautiful, so great, that I am inspired, I am lifted up, I am walking in beauty and joy. For this, I am so grateful. I have so much gratitude for the beauty of this moment. I have so much gratitude for the beauty and light in which I sit and move and have my being. I am so grateful. And in this gratitude, I release this word into divine law, knowing it is, and so it is. Namaste.
And so it is. Thank you, Reverend Tammy, not only for the very touching prayer, but that inspirational message. I'm so grateful that it's recorded so I can go back and hit YouTube and watch it again. And wow, thank you so much. That was really powerful and important. And that is what we do in the spiritual community. And we're so grateful that you all are here today so we can share that sacred journey together. It's also time for us to share our abundance so we can keep that journey together going. Think of all the things that you love about the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living, whether it's the Sunday service or the classes that'll be coming up in the new semester, or think about compassion ministry that's been there for so many of you so many different times, or think of our amazing staff members and the beautiful facility. So please think of all the things that you love about the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living, and then think what you might be able to share from your abundance so we can keep this rolling and out and into the world. So let's say our affirmation of abundance, and then after that, we're going to have a beautiful song, and you can see all the different ways that you can share scrolling across the bottom of the screen. There's the text to give, there's the rgcsl.org where you can click donate, or you can mail in your check if you're a check and snail mail person. We got you. So thank you all the ways. So here's our affirmation of abundance. I am abundant, and I give from my abundance. I am prosperous, and I give from my prosperity. I am blessed, and I give from my blessings. My blessings of spirit are as abundant as the stars, and so I give and receive generously. And so it is. I'm going to ask Yvette to come back up and sing a very special song that she hit me to. I didn't know this song, but I'm really excited. Maybe she can tell us some more about it.
So Kamachar is going to out me as a closet evangelical. I really love evangelical music. This is from like one of those stations, and I always listen to see if there's a relatability to it, and this one really touched my heart. It's called Everything. I hope you enjoy it.
Even the sparrow has a place to lay its head. So why would I let worry steal my breath? Even the roses, you have glowed them brilliant red, and I'm the one you love just as I am. You give me everything. You give me everything. You give me everything I need. Even the oceans push and pull at your command, so you can still my heart with your hand. You tell the seasons when it's time for them to turn, so I will trust you even when it hurts. You give me everything. You give me everything. You give me everything I need. You give me everything. You give me
You are mighty. When I am lost, you are everything I need. You give me everything. You give me everything. You give me everything I need. You give me everything. You give me everything. You give me everything I need. You give me everything. Everything I need.
Wow. Share some love with Yvette in the chat, I'm sure. Oh my goodness, I would drive to the moon to play piano for Yvette, so that's a huge treat. Thank you so much for sharing that beautiful song by Lauren Daigle with us. Wow. All right, so it is time to bless the offerings that we've given. So just put your hand over your heart, your money bags, your wallet, your credit card, your mind, wherever it is. Okay. Divine giver of life, we gratefully accept these and all your gifts on behalf of our beloved community and its soon-to-be new minister. We honor each gift and giver and declare that our abundance is increased 1,000-fold, and we are all truly blessed. And so it is. So this is the time when we usually welcome new visitors to the center. So if y'all want to say hi online in the chat, hello, hello, hello. And feel free, if you are new to the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living, and if you live in the 505, you're welcome to, pop in, wear your mask, we'll see, but during the week, call ahead. Or you could always email office@rgcsl.org if you'd like more information. We have all different ways that we can get connected. If you're new, you could go on the website, reach out to a practitioner. In fact, that's the next topic. Our licensed practitioners are here to support you in prayer. And the best way for that to happen right now is through the website. There's a prayer request button, and you can fill out the form. It gets emailed to the team, and we pray on that all week long. We are here to support you. And if you'd like your own personal session with a practitioner, you can contact a practitioner and set that up, because sometimes that one-on-one is really helpful to get at what Reverend Tammy was talking about today when you need a little assistance. All right. So for the rest of the service, we're going to have our announcements from Dr. Norm Dawson, and then Greg Gardner is going to do our closing benediction, and then Yvette's going to come on back up, and we're going to have our closing song. So please welcome Dr. Norm.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Reverend Kamatara. It's good to see you and Yvette. Listening to you guys, you're a great team, and then Reverend Tammy's message hit me right where I needed it this morning. So thank you, Reverend Tammy. That's wonderful. Okay, all the information I'm sharing with you now is in the newsletter online at our website, and you can go into www.rgcsl.org, or you can go to the Facebook page, or you can type it all out on Google, and it'll bring you up to the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living. Oh, by the way, the mistakes that I make, if I make any mistakes on the announcements, you can always go back to the newsletter, but I'm just doing that to see if you're listening. Okay, the COVID protocols are in place. Like, for example, the service this morning is closed, but there are other activities happening at the center. So be sure you check with the center before you come down here and or go online to see what's available. Reverend Karen mentioned in the newsletter that the mothership, and not the ship that I'm on, which is the Starship Enterprise, says that the CSL is recommending a Global Vision book every month, so that every center will be using this book in addition to the ministers' own choice for their activities. But this month is for January, What's in the Way is the Way by Mary O'Malley. So that's the book that we're the theme for this month. Recurring events. Thursday at 6 o'clock from 6 to 7:30, A Course in Miracles group. Now this is a drop-in group, so you can come to the center, just drop in, and that's led by Nancy Bowers, and she's been doing this for a while. She really knows her stuff. So drop in for that. Another activity that's recurring is the second and fourth Wednesdays from 4 to 6 is the Celebration of Life Grief Support Group. This is a Zoom meeting, and that's led by Catherine Mathiasen, a practitioner. And this is a support group about balancing the loss of normalcy and rhythms of everyday life while coping with grief and loss. I know there's this time of the year, the weather and the short days and all the activities going on, there isn't a lot of people. You might know somebody who has a need for this. So this is a great place to go and hang out. The Compassion Ministries also has a resource that's available every month. And they have just a gigantic library of local services, programs, and organizations. This month, they're focusing in on the COVID-19 news and resources. So there's a bunch of stuff in there that they have on the newsletter about where you can find out information about what's happening, where to get your shots, and all this kind of stuff, and what agencies are helping. It's just a very large resource activity on the newsletter. Also, the two chaplains that are in the Compassion Ministries are Atilia Hiron and Carmela Herrera. They would love to be able to connect with you if you want to talk to them about anything about our center. And lastly, the board has asked me to make a real short plea for the pledges. All I can say about this is that no one is going to save us. It is up to us. So please make your pledge. And that's all. Live from New Mexico, Sunday morning announcements.
I am so grateful for our service this morning. Grateful for the presence of Creator in, through, and as each of us this beautiful morning. I'm grateful for our beautiful music, along with Reverend Tammy's inspiring message of wonder, wonder everywhere. And now, knowing that all is in divine right order, I bless each of us as we move out into the ebb and flow of the remainder of our day. I pour joy, peace, and yes, wonder into each of us. And I invite you to lean into that wonder all day today, and even the rest of the week. Go in joy, go in peace, go in wonder. And so it is. Amen.
And so it is. Here's a wonder song for you to end the service. Sing nice and loud. Make your neighbors wonder what you're up to.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day and the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do?